All right, buddy. So just being goofy there. Anyways, title of the video is why your kung fu is not going to work. So basically, just to get straight to the point, why your kung fu won't work has nothing to do with the style that you're practicing. It has to do with the intensity of the practice. So we'll give an example. So if you practice Shaolin Five Animals, um, and you let's just say you get into a sparring match, you get into a fight, and you try to execute the movements, there's a chance they're not going to work. Mainly for this one reason is that most likely you don't practice these movements for fighting. Now in kung fu we have forms where we practice a lot of these beginner forms all the way to advanced black sash forms. They have all five animals uh, with the example of this style. So you could be practicing a form that has dragon fist, has tiger claw, it has snake, leopard, um, crane. So you practice these forms, you get better at these forms. You go to tournaments, the forms look good. So you think to yourself, oh, well, I've got a pretty good hold of these animals. But in reality, when you actually try to put them to work, you're going to notice that they're not going to flow out as easily in a sparring match, or when you're really trying to execute the movements to the right areas. So it has nothing to do with a style not being efficient. Kung Fu has been a very efficient style for so long. And if you notice, the Shaolin monks, back in those days, they would choose one animal and they would stick to the animal and they would practice the movements until they had them to where it was basically second nature to them. In most cases, for most martial arts nowadays, we practice a wide variety of forms that have all these animals together, but we never actually stick to one animal or incorporate our animals during normal sparring sessions. So the reason the kung fu aspect might not work is because we might focus too much on practicing the movements for the forms, practicing the movements individually during class, but not executing them on a normal basis for sparring. And in some cases, your martial arts school might not be heavy when it comes to sparring, or they might just practice point sparring, where it's basically more about speed and timing to just get the point. Basically hit the point areas for sport. So again, the reason why your kung fu might not work would be because you don't actually incorporate a tiger to the throat, a snake to the eye, a leopard to the groin area, um, a defensive block with a crane movement, or even wonder what the correct way to do a dragon fist would be. So, whenever you practice your kung fu, one piece of advice would be incorporate those movements in sparring, not trying to hurt your fellow classmate or your opponent, but to see if your body can naturally execute those movements at the right times. And if they can't, keep practicing sparring until that does happen. So leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Um, this is not talk bad about any kung fu style. Actually, this is my main style is five animals incorporated with praying mantis. So the reason I say this is because I realize I catch myself thinking about the movement sometimes during a sparring match, and in times when I'm sparring without thinking about the movements, and all of a sudden a leopard just pops up to hit my opponent's forearm. I realize that happened more instinctively than me trying to go down the menu in my head of what animal am I gonna use, where am I gonna place it, when am I gonna use it. Kind of like Bruce Lee says, the moment you think, it's over. All right. So I wait for your comments and concerns and disagreements. I welcome all of that. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and share this video. Thank you, everybody.